Hi everyone, this is Daniel Gregg. I'm going to do a video for you today. This is the backyard here, our fire ring where we have dinner sometimes in the evening with the fire. Here we are. Take the glasses off there. Alright, so this is on Luke 24, and also actually the end of chapter 23. So, hi everyone. And of course I'm reading to you because I express my thoughts in writing better and they're more concise that way. But sometimes I do an aside with a few thoughts. So I'm just following Jordan Peterson's suggestion on this because he was doing the same technique. Testing. Okay, we got good volume. Hi everyone. What is truth? Progressive Christianity is offended by the very word. But we who are getting rescued from this evil age must seek it and learn to adhere to an explanation true to the facts. At the end of Luke 23, I have translated the original text, "Then the Sabbath was dawning." So let's take a look at that. Swing back there. Right there at the end of chapter 23. I get the focus button here. There we go. Hold the camera still. Then the Sabbath was dawning. Alright. Got my paper. But the King James Version says, "And the Sabbath drew on." 400 years later, the English Standard Bible still continues this tradition. It renders the text, "And the Sabbath was beginning." These translations, "drew on" and "beginning," were crafted to fit the Friday to Sunday narrative of Christ's death and resurrection. But the truth is denied by them. The word epiphosken in the original text means dawning. Here, I'll show you how I wrote it down on the page. Right there, the one Greek word on the page there. Of course, with my poor eyesight, poor close-up eyesight, it's hard for me to see it in the back of the camera, but I can see it in the written page okay. The word epiphosken in the original text means dawning. The Sabbath, on the other hand, begins at dusk, the opposite end of the day, which their narrative requires. Even the etymology of the word is against "drew on" and "beginning." By word parts, epiphosken means uplighting. The very same word is also used in Matthew 28:1, and here no one denies its proper meaning. The King James renders there, "as it began to dawn," and the English Standard Version, "toward the dawn." Page 2. And I, in the Good News of Messiah, have it at the dawning. So let's take a look at that. But the later of the Sabbaths, at the dawning for the first of the Sabbaths, Miriam ha-Magdalene and the other Miriam came to look at the grave. That's Matthew 28:1. Alright, we were on page 2 here. So what is the exclamation? What is the explanation that preserves and maintains the true significance of epiphoskin. Since I have written the explanation into a footnote in the Good News of Messiah, I will read this first. It says on Luke 23:54b, note psi, because I use Greek letters to mark footnotes in the text. Okay, so I'll read you that footnote. Okay. Well, definitely will need some glasses for this. I didn't bring them out here. Well, I could probably remember what it says, but I might stumble a little bit. See Matthew 28:1. So this is a note on then the Sabbath was dawning. See Matthew 28:1, which I already mentioned, and Hosea 6:3, particularly the words Kashachor Nikon Motsa'o, okay, which means that dawn is fixed, is going forth. Mark ends, okay, so we go to the book of Mark. I'm going to give you some examples. The note is rather academic and technical, but this presentation, other than reading the note, will be more down to most people's level. Mark suddenly ends on a note of stunned amazement, Mark 16:8. And over there I have arguments why the shorter ending of Mark is correct. Here also Luke makes an unexpected literary turn. He jumps from the day of preparation all the way to the time just after the resurrection. He has jumped past the annual Sabbath all the way to the resurrection Sabbath. And so in verse 54a to 54b, and so verses 54a to 54b, give concise endpoints for Messiah's death and resurrection. This type, this is where glasses would help. This type of sudden summary is to quickly give us a sight of the anticipated moment. This literary device is also seen in Matthew 21:18 through 20. It seems that no time has passed after the fig tree was cursed, but Mark 11:12 through 14 and 20 through 21 makes it clear that a whole day passed before Messiah was questioned about the tree. In like manner, Exodus 19 omits to mention the 3 days of travel in the wilderness before they reached Sinai. And good afternoon. What?
I'm sorry to disturb you. I'm taking one now because I paid for 2 last night, but I only took 1.
That's fine.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay.
I want you to go look, and there's no money there, but that's the reason why.
All right. Okay, so it's a wood box getting some wood. I restocked the whole wood box this morning. It was completely empty last night, so I gotta keep it up. Okay, so what you heard in the background was a customer. Alrighty, so where were we? We were reading this note. In like manner, Exodus 19 omits to mention the 3 days of travel in the wilderness before they reach Sinai. Okay, the paragraph. In Luke 54b, Luke backtracks to tell us about the women. Then he brings us up to deep dawn again. His literary method is similar to shows where a narrator announces an interesting tidbit to come. Then there is a break for tea or lunch. Then the narrator repeats the story and brings the narrative up to the interesting moment again. Okay, so this is what we see going on in Luke 23 and 24. Okay, so that's what the note says. So I'm repeating myself here because for people to get things, they need to hear things repeated in different ways. Okay, page 2. Alright, so we read the note. So as it says, okay, so this is Luke, the last verse of Luke 23. And it was a day of preparation. Then the Sabbath was dawning. Luke is not referring to dawn on the Sabbath after that day of preparation. for then we might assume they spent all night with the burial. But Luke is skipping ahead 3 days and 3 nights. From that day of preparation on the fourth day of the week before the annual Passover Sabbath, all the way to the end of the third night at the dawning for the Sabbath day, the seventh day. And this is done by way of anticipation. And it is where the chapter should end. Luke picks up with chapter 24. In the good news of Messiah, I have begun it, the new chapter, halfway through verse 54, page 3, which is traditionally chapter 23, 54b. But as we should know, these chapter and verse divisions were inserted long after traditionalists invented their Friday crucifixion and Sunday resurrection theory. Luke picks up the new chapter with a backstory comment about the women, how they had been at the burial, and the fact that they had subsequently prepared spices. Then he reframes anew the timeline. Okay, so this is in chapter 24. And on the one Sabbath they rested, but on the first of the Sabbaths, in deep dawn, they came upon the tomb. And this is the very Sabbath which Luke wished to indicate back in the final words of the previous chapter. Then the Sabbath was dawning. So we see the resurrection Sabbath rescues us from any traditional pressure to mistranslate epiphoske, which truly means dawning and does not refer to the coming dusk. You should also notice my translation or construction, and on the one Sabbath they rested, but on the first of the Sabbaths, in the deep dawn, they came upon the tomb. This is a typical mende construction in Greek. Mende those are Greek words. Used whenever the writer wishes to compare, contrast, or oppose two items, like we would, page 4, say in English. On the one hand, X, but on the other hand, Y. So we see that on the annual Sabbath, the norm for rest was not violated for the sake of the dead. But on the first Sabbath following Passover, the weekly one, they did break the norm to anoint the dead. They were allowed to do so because the explanation given is that caring for the dead is the same as caring for a sick person. Testing, good. And they had already prepared the spices ahead of time. Caring of a sickness, a malignancy on the Sabbath, or caring for a sickness or a malignancy, is one of the exceptions to the norm of rest. I have drawn your attention to several points here. What is critical is that the truth explains all the facts. Unlike false translations, I do not have to reinvent meanings of words to fit a false narrative. The false narrative, the church, has been used to corrupt the entire biblical timeline. You want to be on camera?
A bit.
Okay, well you can walk in front of it then. What do you have to show me?
This. I fixed it. I found it in the
fixed it.
bushes.
Okay, so this is, I'll show you this here. You can see this is one of the scriptures on our doorpost that we post here. And it says, it's a little cedar board with a hole through it. It says, Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our God, Yahweh alone. You shall love Yahweh your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So this is my daughter Kira, and she is the one who fixed it. Because sometimes the writing fades or it falls down or something. All right, we're getting close to 14 minutes here. I got to finish this or we're going to have a part 2. All right. Okay, I read that. Okay, the false narrative of the church has been used to corrupt the entire biblical timeline, reaching back into the Torah and prophets also, and corrupting the true eschatological speculations about what is to come, or corrupting their future eschatological speculations about what is to come. I warn them that without correcting these matters, they will find themselves out of the kingdom of the Most High. Thank you for listening.